So I've got a project that I'm going to use as an example. This is just an old piece that my daughter made when she was in here messing around one time. But any bowl that doesn't have a hole in the bottom of it, anything that is going to be a cereal bowl, a cup, a mug, jar, whatever it happens to be, they're all going to be done with the same process, and I'll show you how that starts. The first thing to keep in mind is that most of these projects, when you got done with it, you did a little sanding, or if it sat on the shelf over there, the bisque shelves, for any amount of time, it's going to collect dust. Dust will act like what we call a resist. In other words, the dust will keep the clays from sticking to your project. If that's the case, then you're not going to have glaze there and you're going to have blank spots. And those are what we don't want. We want there to be a nice even coating over the whole thing. So how do we remove the dust? Very simple. We're going to go back to our sink and we're going to give it a quick rinse. Notice how quickly this happens, all right? I shake it off there, okay? Now, the reason why I do it very quickly is because I don't want this to absorb any more water than it can, okay? You'll notice that this is starting to dry out very, very quickly, or it's already dried almost completely. Be honest, it's not actually drying. What's happening is the water is being absorbed into the clay. When we bisque fire our projects, we take it up to a temperature of 1,750 degrees. All right, what that does is that melts some of the silica particles in our clay, and it allows them to attach to all of the other clay particles and dirt particles and everything else that makes up the clay. So when we get it done, it makes a ringing sound, and that tells me that it's all connected. The good thing is that it's still porous, meaning that it's kind of like a sponge. And what'll happen is it'll absorb water. When we rinse that off, not such a good thing. When we put it into our glaze, that is a good thing because the water that's in the glaze is mixed with the silica particles, the colorants, and everything like that. And what will happen is the clay will absorb that water, but it'll also take the silica particles and everything else and all the colorants and mix that in to, or will fill in all those little air bubbles, little nooks and crannies in the clay and cause it to fill in, make it completely waterproof. Now, believe it or not, you can actually high fire a piece of clay such as this in our glaze kiln without glaze on it, and it'll be completely vitrified or completely waterproof. The silica particles in there are enough to make this waterproof or at least hold water, but the glaze is what makes it pretty, gives it a color, makes it a lot smoother and more comfortable to use and to drink out of or eat out of or something like that. Okay, so we've cleaned this off. Let's get ready to glaze it.